exciting webinar dubbed Engaging Gen Z in the Workplace. My name is Linda Williamson-Ishen, an HR officer of the Ghana Civil Service, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for this webinar powered by WorldLink HR. Now, I'll be doing this with a beautiful lineup of speakers, and I'll be introducing them shortly. So, our panelists for today consist of four individuals from the different generational groups, particularly millennials and Gen Z, and in various industries. My first panelist for today is Miss Lois Ifia Amponsa. Miss Lois Ifia Amponsa is a proficient finance professional with over 5 years of experience, including work with diverse Unilever markets globally in accounting, consolidation, and reporting. She excels in process improvement, stakeholder collaboration, and delivering results under tight deadlines. Ms. Lois is skilled in Microsoft Office, Google Suite, and SAP, and is dedicated to continuous learning and fostering an inclusive work environment. She has a passion for football, basketball, and athletics. If Ms. Lois is here, let us hear by a year.
Yeah, thanks, Linda.
Okay, thank you. My second speaker is Ms. Maxine Seshi. Ms. Maxine Seshi is a senior consultant at Deloitte. She has an extensive legal and regulatory knowledge and years of experience in regulatory compliance and company secretarial services. She has a degree in law and a master's in corporate and commercial law. She previously worked with Atre Law Firm and Cocoa Marketing Company. Miss Maxine, can we hear a year from you?
Yeah, hi Linda.
Welcome on board. Thank you. My next speaker, who happens to be the only gentleman on the panelist, is James, Mr. James. Mr. James is a chartered accountant and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. He graduated with a first-class honors in Bachelor of Commerce, Accounting from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana, and is currently a final level student at the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, United Kingdom. James serves as the internal auditor at Icon Energy, where he oversees the implementation of internal controls across the business and leads the audit team. Before joining Icon Energy, he worked as an audit associate at Taps and Associates and gained experience as a teaching and research assistant at the University of Cape Coast. With over 5 years of professional expertise in accountancy and auditing, and 3 years in the downstream oil and gas industry, James has a strong background in auditing, financial reporting, public sector accounting, strategic management, and fraud investigations. James is also an alumnus of APAM Senior High School. Obrapa, Mr. James.
Linda Jura Kwai.
Okay, so my last panelist is also an associate in the name of Zilla Boydo. Zilla Boydo is a lecturer with the Department of Communication, Faculty of Information and Communication Studies at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. Preceding that, she served as a graduate assistant at the School of Graduate Studies, UPSA. Ms. Boydo holds a diploma and Bachelor of Arts in Public Relations Management from the University of Professional Studies, Accra. She has additionally obtained a Master of Arts degree in Brands and Communication Management and an MPhil in Leadership, both from the same university. He teaches classes including public relations writing, business communication, and communication theories. Her research interests encompass digital communication, branding, organizational communication, and leadership. Hello, Miss Zila Boydo. Are you here with us? Let us hear you.
Hello, Linda.
Okay. Oh, I'm happy to have you on. For a moment, I thought I lost you. And so we'll continue. As we all know, Gen Z is entering the workforce with fresh perspectives, distinct priorities, and a strong desire to make a meaningful impact. Their presence is reshaping workplace dynamics and encouraging innovation, even as they navigate the differing mindset of other generational groups, millennials, Generation X, Beta, now the baby boomers. Today, we'll explore practical strategies to attract, retain, and empower Gen Z employees. We are privileged, as I already mentioned, to have an interesting lineup of speakers from both millennial and Gen Z backgrounds who will share their unique insights with us today. Together, we'll discuss ways to bridge these generational gaps, foster collaboration, and create inclusive environments where everyone can thrive. I encourage you to participate actively. If you do have any questions, you can leave them in the chat or there will be a question time. And so this is how it's going to be. We are going to start with our panelists giving us their general overview of Gen Zs and their experience working with Gen Zs in their various workspaces. Then we'll move on to targeted questions at our panelists, and then it will follow with a Q&A from our audience. So, without further ado, let's dive in and uncover what we have here. And so, Miss Lois, Miss Maxine, James, and Zila, in 2 minutes, I want you all to give us your general insights and experiences working with Gen Zs in your various capacities. I'll begin with Miss Lois. The time starts now. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Good evening, everyone, and happy to be here. As a Gen Z myself, the basic understanding of what I want from the workplace is flexibility. So when I mean flexibility, I just want to do things the Gen Z way, have fun whilst working, and be able to deliver results. So don't put me in a box and say, go through the normal ABC process. Allow me to do things how I feel I can do it. At the end of the day, I'm going to achieve the targets which you desire. So flexibility is what stands out for me when it comes to any workplace as a Gen Z. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much, Miss Lois. We'll move to Miss Maxine. If you're on the line, please, let's hear from you.
Okay. With my experience with working with Gen Z, they are, like Lois said, they are free spirited. They like to do things their own way. What I've seen is that when you allow them to do their things their own way, they are more creative. They have other solutions to problems that you would not think of. Basically, they think outside the box. And I think that should be more encouraged. It should be encouraged in organizations. That way it helps the companies grow in, you know, better ways, finding new ways to do things, finding faster, easier ways to get things done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Maxine. Mr. James and Zila will follow.
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. You see, Gen Zs I mean, people actually, let's just say they are born between the mid 90s and the early 2000s. These people bring on board different traits and characters that need to be studied. And you see, most employers are not really convinced, or they are not, they see them not to fit in well with this Gen Zs. And there is a need that we still accommodate them, because if you look at our era, You want young, fresh, and vibrant youth to take up certain positions at the workplace, and these are the people that we go into to employ. So there is the need that, I mean, organizations suit themselves very well to accommodate the character of these Gen Z. So it is very important we gather here and discuss ways that we can help harness the talent of these Gen Zs, and organizations are being proactive in that regard. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, James. Ms. Zila would continue for us.
Um, Basically, Gen Zs are people born in some research 96, some 97. Some say they end in the year 2012, some 2013. So they are ranging from, let's say, 13 to 28 years. And they currently represent, I believe, according to research, 27% of the global workforce. And these people have key traits where they are digital natives with high fluency, they prioritize work-life balance, they value most of the time authenticity and transparency, and they are highly educated, but mostly they are pragmatic about their career paths. And what they usually need from employees is career development and growth, workplace flexibility, financial security and benefits, among others. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all for those wonderful insights. We'll now move to the targeted questions to our panelists. And before we continue that, I want to welcome those who just joined. And I want to let you know that this webinar is powered by WorldLink HR. And you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media handles you can think of. Yes, please do share this on your WhatsApp status, share with your friends so they can join. The conversation is just about to get interesting. Yeah. And so, Miss Lois, we hear about work-life balance a lot, especially now that we are all moving towards, technology and a lot of remote work now in the system. We want to know, how does Gen Z's desire for work-life balance influence corporate decision making?
Okay, thanks, Linda. And so I'll just give a little bit backstory before I go into what I have to say. Being a chartered accountant myself, whilst I was doing my thesis in level 400, I was thinking of what topic I need to write on. And the topic I finally settled on was the work-life balance for female accountants in the workplace. And as a Gen Z, that topic resonated so much with me because listening to stories how the typical accountants are always very busy, they don't have time for themselves, they are always doing paperwork and stuff. I was like, no, I don't think I'm cut out for that. I'm a Gen Z. I need to do things differently. And having done my thesis or my project work on that topic, I got to understand a lot of things, which also influenced me as a person. So coming into the workspace, one thing that always stood out for me was, can I get a company that would encourage hybrid working, right? Because I know, yeah, accountants, we are busy, but then how can I balance being in the office every day and also maybe being wherever I want to work, but still getting the work being done? And once I realized most companies are doing, and thanks to COVID, because pre-COVID, most companies not believe in working from home. They think the employees are not working. But COVID has shown everybody right now that you can actually work from home and still get the job done. So I look for companies that actually have hybrid systems in their place. I'm not ready, or I'm not cut out for companies that will box me to be in the office every day if I can still be productive. So as an accountant, you go to some organizations and you see a lot of paperwork. And I'm like, guys, there are more ways to do things. How do you encourage a young Gen Z like myself to come into your organization? Because maybe I might be looking for a job. You might give me that role. I might start for a year, but I'll definitely not feel happy. So I'll look for opportunities out there to go. So I've seen a lot of companies right now incorporating the hybrid ways of working to also retain this Gen Z talent. Because as Zilla mentioned, the Gen Z, guys are the ones who have most of the skills and talents that are being looked for right now. So companies are actually incorporating having the flexible way of working, coming to the office some days, staying at home also. One thing and one important thing for me, which I think is one of the things still keeping me in my company, is the policy around mental health support. So as Gen Zs, we have a lot of things that affect us. And being a typical Ghanaian, we are all, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. But working in a multinational where we have a mental health system in place, one thing I've realized is I can go to someone who is ready to listen to me, who would not judge me or who would not say, oh, just take like that. So that's policy in place gives me a very comfortable place to work, gives me I have that comfort to say, okay, regardless of anything, even if I'm going through a lot and I can't talk to any of my colleagues, I can go to these guys. So having a mental policy or mental health policy in place would also retain Gen Z talents because they know they have a safe space to work and also a safe space who they can talk to in case they're going through any challenge. So for me, these two policies of blending remote work and also having mental health policies in place would definitely retain Gen Z talents. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much, Lois. We'll move on to Miss Maxine. In Miss Loy's submission, she made mention that the hybrid working system is what is actually on now. And then you also mentioned that you can work from home and still have the work done. Now, let's hear from Millennial Maxine and let's see if that is actually true. And so, my question to Miss Maxine will be, how can regulated industries adapt to Gen Z's demand for flexibility and inclusivity? Miss Maxine, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Linda, for the question. So I believe that um, companies can adopt the flexible work environment. There are not a lot of companies that are doing this, especially the public sector. But then when you focus on the private, they actually do. They allow for um, working from home and then maybe working 2 or 3 days from the office and then working the rest of the week from the house. It helps because in the companies that I have observed, when they practice this, they see an increase in work done. They see an increase in their revenue. It's beneficial to companies. So my suggestion would probably be that companies should adopt this, and then they should also, in a way, um, um, not prove, but then show to these generations, especially the Gen Z, that they understand that everyone needs a work-life balance, and then they should show respect for those stuff. I mean, you cannot ask someone to do something for you maybe 9, 10 p.m. and then expect that the person would still stay in the company. They would feel like you don't respect their work-life balance. So yes, that is one thing that I would say that companies can adopt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, please go on. For someone who is listening, they will want to find out what actually is the regulated industry or what are regulated industries. For the layman, let us understand that better.
Okay, so regulated industries, there are two meanings to this. So we have regulatory industries, authorities. These are kind of like the ministries, EPA, any government industry that has some kind of licensing authority. And there's also regulated industry, that is companies who are not in the government, but then they are regulated by some of the laws or all of the laws of Ghana. So maybe, for instance, companies that are regulated by the Companies Act. So they are regulated industries, and then they are being regulated by a regulatory authority. That is the Office of the Registrar of Companies.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And so, Mr. Kujo, please, I will also want to know from your end how organizations can build trust and transparency with Gen Z employees. We are all
Oh,
fighting for the hybrid working system, and you want to be sure your Gen Z, wherever they are working from, are going to deliver as expected. And you also want to ensure that there's transparency between the employer and Gen Z employees. So help us understand that better.
okay. So just as in my earlier submission, I made mention of the fact that these people are very, very important in our setting, because now if you want the talent, I believe you will not go in for someone that is above 30. If you see most publication around, we see the ages between 25 to some can go as low as 20 to 25, seeking for management position. So these people are very, very important, as I earlier said. So how can we then, as a company or as an employer, keep these guys in the company? Because we invest a lot to recruit these guys into the company. So supposing you invest so much in someone, and later on 2 or 3 months later, the person comes and say, "Oh, I'm penning in my resignation letter." Why? Because the environment is boring. I'm stressed. You see, it's going to be painful. In as much as the company may think they don't care, they've lost so much investment. So I think the first point is with direct managers. Now, direct managers are supposed to have deep conversation with these guys. These guys are not like the millennials who takes things like, "Oh, it's not anything, let it slide," and all that. These guys take things at heart. They handle things at heart. So they can just come to you and say their mind. They are people that you can say they are they don't know how to ask, but they just react. They don't know how to ask for. So you as a manager go to these people and have deep conversation with them. So communicate the intention of the company for them, the plans the company have for them. Let them buy into the idea that the company have for them. They reason. So, okay, this is where the company wants to go. This is the vision of the company. So we want you to help us achieve this vision. This goes beyond the remuneration that they are going to receive. They feel they have a sense of belonging. If you come to them with the company's vision and policy, the reason why we hired you, and the reason why we want you to do this specific job. Now, if you conscientize this, and day to day, you shouldn't leave the job to only the HR. So most of the job is supposed to be handled by the direct managers. Go to them, have a deeper conversation with them. Sometimes the needs that they want, the company cannot afford. So you just be transparent to them. "See, guy, we know that you want to do this A, B, and C, but at the moment, we cannot afford this." Just be transparent for them, but then we can help in this way. So you are conscientizing with them. Sometimes they will come to you, "Manager, I'm stressed out. I don't think I can do this job again," and all that. Just give them that room. "Okay, guy, so this is what we have in line. This is what we want to accomplish in the by doing this job. So I want you to tell me how you can accomplish this task." Just pose the question to them. Let them brainstorm, think, and by so doing that, they bring in their thoughts. They will be committed to the vision and the goal of the company. So we shouldn't be there and be setting rules for them. Bring them on board, involve them in decision making, and by so doing, you can retain these guys, because companies are investing a lot in these guys. So we need to make the conscious efforts. And my submission is geared towards direct managers, because they have direct relationship with these guys. So they need to hear them out day in and day out. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Kujo. Thank you so much. So he touched on the need for communication. Yes, you get to know what your Gen Z employees need and what you can do to also meet their demands and actually let them know your stance. And so Miss Zila is going to tell us she works with a lot of students, and the school, the university is one of the avenues where we get most of our highs, and they are training a lot of Gen Zs now. And so Ms. Zilla is going to help us understand what Gen Z students' expectations of from their employers are. So our managers, our HRs, our leaders, and supervisors of the various organizations can get to make their strategies from. And so, Ms. Zilla, if you are with us, please help us with a question.
Some of the things I believe that Gen Zs, their research look out for is mentoring and support, because it plays a vital role in their career development. Do you get it? And so Gen Zs who are entering the workforce with unique traits, with expectations, okay, implementing some structured mentoring programs and sometimes including reverse mentoring and peer mentoring can significantly enhance their professional growth. Okay, so they value mentorship because it provides sometimes the guidance, the support, and insights into navigating their respective careers. And so it helps them understand things like the workplace dynamics. It helps them develop professional networks. And in essence, it helps them gain, practical knowledge that complements the academic learning. So it is also an avenue where this time around they don't always want it to be linear. They want it to be transactional, which is the reverse mentoring. So younger employees, in as much as they want older ones to mentor them, to guide them, they also feel like it should be something that is mutual. So this approach allows them to also share their skills, sometimes, their fresh perspectives, while the older generation can also impact their valuable experience and, the industry knowledge as well. So mentoring and support is something that I believe that they look out for. And the other thing I also think, per what I found out, is that they also look out for professional development and growth opportunities. Okay, they often look
Mm.
out for opportunities to learn new skills, for career advancement and ongoing training. So, in terms of growth opportunities, these individuals or these professionals who are now entering the workforce place a very high importance on, say, time for training, development, understanding of skill gaps, and to some extent, like Lois mentioned, reasonable workloads. Okay, so they view professional development as a means to enhance their confidence, their self-efficacy, and resilience in some situations. And so professional development are just great opportunities that is essential for fostering them, and then they are, enhancing their employee satisfaction as well. So additionally, these clear career advancement paths are crucial in featuring transparent promotion criteria and regular performance feedback for Gen Zs. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Zila. And I won't want you to rest. I want you to go on to let us know. These are students you work with, and you get to meet them on a regular basis. They have this high expertise, like high expectations from their employers. And
Mhm.
some way, somehow, we need to actually let them also understand reality. How
Mhm.
best do you think academia is helping to prepare our Gen Zs for the work environment?
Um, Okay, so I believe that it all boils down to practical skills development. Okay, it is crucial in equipping Gen Z with the necessary tools, to thrive in the modern workplace or the contemporary environments, we find ourselves in. So it will encompass, say, project-based learning, where it would be an educational method. Maybe lecturers can, adopt to engage students in hands-on projects that reflect the real-world industry situations. Okay, so we could engage students in projects designed to sometimes solve actual industry problems and enhance the relevance to enhance relevance and applicability in most situations. Okay, and sometimes we adopt the application of teamwork. So we encourage teamwork and communication, mirroring professional environments. Like in UPSA, we have presentations. Okay, this helps them, overcome their fear of public speaking and shyness, among other things. And it's an opportunity to correct them where they fall short, because no one is perfect. So when we do things like this for our students, okay, they are able to tackle complex projects, develop critical thinking and innovative solutions. And it's also sometimes an opportunity for them to create tangible evidence of their skills and accomplishments that are mostly valuable, or that are things that recruiters are looking for right now. Okay. And the second thing we can do is internships. So internships basically provide students with, say, real world like experience. Do you get it? We allow them to apply the academic knowledge in professional settings. So I believe that this hands-on exposure is essential for understanding, say, workplace dynamics and building practical skills as well. So we could do types of internships. I mean, we could incorporate them in our, in our courses. You get it? Like UPSA, we have internship like a course with credit hours where students will go out there, um, experience the real world, workplace for themselves. And also, it helps them enhance both technical and soft skills through the practical application and professional interactions. It also sometimes a great opportunity for them to build connections with industry professionals, which can sometimes, in a good way, lead to mentorship and job offers. Like some of them go back to those same companies to do their national service. So I believe that this is something that would help Gen Zs now that they will soon be taking a major percentage of the workforce in years to come. Something too, I believe that institutions can take up as industry partnerships. So this will involve, say, collaborative efforts between educational institutions and businesses to ensure that academic programs are aligned with industry needs. And that is a gap that I believe that most universities should take note of, not just doing any program. But I think that we should offer programs that really align with contemporary industry needs. So this partnership, mostly when we do that, it will facilitate projects development, it will provide resources and enhance job placement opportunities for our students. Okay, so these types of partnerships could include, say, maybe curriculum co-creation, maybe joint research initiatives between the institution and the industry, between institution and industry, where we could collaborate on research projects that really address real world challenges. Okay. And so for our students, of course, it will benefit them because it would bring about, say, sometimes aligned educational outcomes where students will acquire skills and knowledge that are directly applicable to their desired career paths. So when we implement things like this, right, I believe that it would help provide a robust framework for our Gen Z to excel wherever they find themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful submission, and it was well packed. Yeah. And so Ms. Zila has told us what students expect and how she, as someone in academia, what they are doing to help them meet us halfway. And so she mentioned project learning, teamwork, internships, and aligning academic programs to real world work experiences and their needs. And I think that submission was insightful. And so, before I continue, I want to remind you that this webinar was put together by WorldLink HR, and you can follow us on all social media pages. You can as well also be kind enough to share this with your friends and colleagues at work to join. Thank you. And so, Ms. Lois, as Ms. Zila has already told us of students' expectation and what they are doing to let them meet company needs, we want Ms. Lois to also help us with the strategies companies can adopt to meet the expectations for growth of agencies.
All right, thanks, Linda. So there are a lot of strategies, right, that companies can adopt, and I'll just be talking about a few with practical examples using myself. So I think one of the strategies that can be adopted by various companies is having a learning and development plan as part of their structure. So, for example, in my company, we have access to free online trainings where you can decide to take courses in areas that are not even you are not used to. So as an accountant, I can decide to take courses in marketing in case maybe I'm partnering the marketing team. So I understand their languages, so that when they are talking about brands, positioning and all those stuff, I'm able to relate. So having such structures, it gives me the confidence that even though I'm working as a finance personnel, I can even diversify in future because I have access to these free tools where other people might have to pay for, but I have the opportunity to learn and also to grow myself, not just impacting the business, but also growing myself as a personal, growing or developing my personal career. Another thing which for me would be a good strategy for companies to put in is purpose-driven work. So if you look at most companies, they tend to have, they'll ask you what's your purpose. I remember the first day I joined my company, they're like, Lois, what's your purpose? And I'm like, guys, what are you guys talking about? They mentioned you need to have a purpose that will drive you in everything you do. Because if you have a purpose that maybe aligns with what the company is doing, you have the energy and you also be motivated to come to work. Because as James mentioned, Gen Zs tend to get bored after doing something for some time. So if your purpose, you don't have anything driving you, for example, you really want to be a content creator, but your company is never allowing you to take pictures when you go to the office, you won't be able to achieve anything because like, yes, for now I need the money, so I'll do it. But then imagine you find a company that allows you, that gives you that flexibility to do anything you want to do. You will definitely jump and move to such a company. So purpose-driven work where the Gen Zs can align whatever their purpose is to what they are doing. So my purpose is maybe to be happy. If I go to work, I know I have to be happy. How can I find happiness at work? I look for strategies. I look for ways to say, okay, even though I'm doing a lot of data-driven work, I need to look for ways to be happy. Do I find maybe play music in the background whilst working? Or once you know what drives you and your company has given you that freedom, I think it's very easy for you as a Gen Z to even be able to align your purpose to what your business or your company wants you to do. Another for me is open communication and transparency, where you are very free. Gen Zs, we like saying what's on our mind. Some people say we are rude. We might be rude, but I think it's more about finding the balance, right? On how to speak up and how to be respectful. I've worked in organizations where they're like, see, say what's on your mind, be free so that we understand what you want and we can give it to you. But then I've also seen organizations where you cannot even talk, like your line manager is killing you with work and you cannot talk because if you talk now, they'll say, are we not paying you? And all this stuff. But when there is an open communication policy in there where you are challenged, you are free with your line manager. You can say, okay, at this point, I don't think I can do this. I face challenges where sometimes at work, I think 2 months ago, I was working on something, and for 3 days, I was trying to crack this stuff. It wasn't just working. And I dropped my boss a message in the morning. I say, please, can we have a chat? I was like, what is it? I said, I'm not fine. And it's true, I wasn't fine because I was frustrated, right? I couldn't find headway about what I wanted to do. So we went on the call and was like, okay, what's the issue? And I explained the challenge. Because we have that open policy where we can communicate freely. My line manager actually was on the call with me for hours where we worked on it together. And he actually, something that I spent 3 days on, we spent about 2 hours solving this stuff. Imagine you don't have that open communication policy in place. I'm sure for 1 week I would have been dying because my colleagues are also on leave, so I don't even know who to turn to. And maybe you're scared of even speaking to your line manager. How then do you even get that job done? I mean, knowing that they will definitely come and ask you for the outputs. So having an open communication or open policy in place where you can speak up freely, it also builds trust because I know whatever I'm going through, be it health and personal or be it work-wise, I can speak to somebody. Even if I can't speak to my line manager, maybe I have other senior colleagues in the business where I can talk to, or even my MD. You know, sometimes my MD can come down from his floor and just, oh, hi, what's up? We have that free interactions. I believe if I have an issue, I can actually just walk up to him and tell him that this is the challenge. And it encourages me and it also gives me trust that the people I'm working with care about me. And I don't think I want to leave my company to go to a place where listening to people, they can't even do anything. So that's open communication. If most companies can get it in, it will definitely retain and help meet the expectations for Gen Z. The last one will be around diversity and inclusion. I've worked with people. So speaking on diversity and inclusion, I'll specify on maybe those with disability, because you tend to see some very smart people, right? Who are Gen Zs like us, but they are disabled. And when you have a company that has such facilities in place where they also bring in people who are disabled into the workspace to give them an opportunity to grow, you tend to realize these guys are one of the smartest guys you can be with. I had one who had worked with, and man, this guy had an issue with his hand, but give him an Excel to do, and he's so good. So working with such people, it then even challenges me myself. I'm like, okay, you don't have an issue. And if this person can do the work, what's your issue? Because for me, it won't make sense when somebody who might be physically challenged is doing something better than me. It also pushes and drives me more to do better. And I'm also getting it then also builds my soft skill in terms of empathy towards such people. So whilst I'm learning and being pushed, I'm also growing my soft skills. The last one would be having a strategy in place for having diverse roles. I've worked for almost 5 years, but I've done about 6 roles. I don't think I can do a role for more than 2 years. I'll be bored. So, and that's one thing, having discussions with some of my friends, they're like, man, I'm already getting bored doing this role for more than 3 years. And I'm like, okay, move to something else. And companies that I've worked with, for example, my company, sometimes there might be no role, but what do? They rotate you guys just to ensure that one person is not staying in a place and just being a master of just one space. And that's one thing that makes me happy working, because I know after a period of time, I can move to another role, still within the finance space, and learn. So if your company has that structure, believe me, I don't think you'll be losing your Gen Z talent, because the Gen Z guys will be like, okay, it's a year or so, I've been doing something new. It's just like moving to a new company. So having the opportunity to try different things, even in the same company, just by rotating your employees, I think would go a long way in retaining your Gen Z talents. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much, Lois. I enjoyed every bit of what you said, and I'm taking notes myself. And so, you know, one interesting thing about webinars like this is that you won't get to hear about the internal dynamics of most companies. And we have a list, you know, employees of organizations like the A-list organizations in the country here on this webinar. As I introduced Miss Lois works with Unilever. Miss Maxine also works with Deloitte. Our lecturer is with UPSA, and Mr. Kujo works with Icon Energy. So for your next job hunt, as you are listening to them, maybe you should put down a few notes. It's not just about the money. Sometimes it's about this internal dynamics that brings you the work-life balance you seek. Yeah. So I hope you take notes, just as I am taking notes. For you know, I'll be working with Unilever in years to come. So thank you so much, Miss Lois. One thing that has actually been running through our conversation today is the need for mentorship and development. And Miss Maxine is going to tell us, does this mentorship and development, does it actually have a role in retaining Gen Z talent in our work environment? Let's hear from Miss Maxine.
Yes, I believe mentorship programs can help in retaining Gen Z in a company. So what um, I've observed companies do is they have internal mentorship programs where they pair millennials or baby boomers with Gen Zs. So in this instance, it's programmed to help Gen Zs with skill development, and communication, and how to build their relationships with other people. It also helps with information sharing because I believe that what Gen Zs really want is to be included, to feel they are included in the company, to feel like they are making contributions and that their contributions are noticed, appreciated, and implemented. So in an instance where they feel like their knowledge is being appreciated, it helps with talent retention. I also think that there's a lot that they can also learn from the older generations, work ethic, for instance, and then the reason why you stay with your company, what you believe that your company would impact into you. Well, I think that's as I've already mentioned, I think that for this to work, the older generation should be able to listen to the Gen Zs because, again, all they require, all they need is to feel like they are included in whatever decision that the company is making. Thank you. Hi, Linda.
Thank you, Ms. Maxine, for your submission. And so mentorship and development does have a role in retaining Gen Z talent in our organizations. If you are new here, I want to let you know this webinar is powered by WorldLink HR. Please do give us a follow on our social media platforms. And also do share with your friends and colleagues because we haven't ended yet. If you have any questions for our panelists, you can feel free to leave them in the chat. There will be a session for Q&As where you can raise your hand and then you have the opportunity to share with us. And so now, all this mentorship and development, all these strategies that have been aligned, they definitely come at a cost to organizations. They don't come cheap. They definitely come at a cost. And there should be a way where we can hold Gen Zs also accountable for whatever we are investing in them, and to have them serve as to meet us, because it's a transactional relationship. No matter what, it's a transactional relationship. We need your skills and expertise, and in turn we are also giving you what you want. So how do we actually ensure Gen Z's accountability and their ability to lead through in organizations? And Mr. Cudjoe will help us answer that. Mr. Cudjoe, please, you
Okay.
can take it.
Okay, Linda. So how we can ensure that Gen Zs are accountable in the organization in terms of leadership. So when organization you spot this talent that feel is going to help the organization go the extra mile to invest in them, sending them to programs, seminars, which come with a cost. Now, for you, the organization, to safeguard yourself, I think you should enter into a contract with these Gen Zs. The guy, we are investing A, B, and C in you. So we need you to sign this contract. Should you leave within this period of time, then you are going to refund our money. By so doing, you are committing them to the organization. You are committing them to the organization. So you need to hold them accountable in all regard. First of all, you need to sign the contract. Bring in that thing. It will hook them to the organization, also give them that assurance that, hey, this organization cares about me and cares about my growth because they spotted me and they are investing in me. So for organizations to safeguard themselves, they need to enter into some sort of a contract with this Gen Zs, and it will help them hooked to help them hooked into the role that they purport for them. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you so much. This is an added-on question. Have any of our panelists had the opportunity to experience this accountability we are asking? Miss Lois, Miss Zila, how have you ensured accountability in your institutions with Gen Zs?
Okay, so I would go. I think
Okay.
personally, I've not found myself in a situation where maybe I've been held accountable for something. But I tend to, one thing, because I know personally my company has invested a lot in me, a lot in terms of trainings, both within Ghana and outside Ghana. So one thing I tend to do, I'm like, yes, they've invested a lot in me. I also have to give back. And most roles that I do, I most the times I don't have any idea. But one thing I tend to do is I tell myself they've seen something in me where are they think I can do it and they're investing in me. So I should also give my best by producing good outputs. But I've had colleagues who have been in situations where they're like, okay, because of what we are doing in you, you have to sign the contracts not to leave the business within this period. If you do, you have to pay something. And I think it works a lot, right? Because you then see such people also being like, okay, it could have been anybody, but they chose me. That means the company values me. And most of the time, these guys remain in the company even more than the 1 year or 6 months where they've been asked to say, okay, you need to give back to the company within this period. They tend to, and it makes them feel valuable because there are a lot of people in the organizations, but why you? Why have you been chosen or invested in so much? So personally, no direct instance of being held accountable, but I've taken it on myself that whatever the company invests in me, I give back by producing quality results so that I can get the opportunity again. Because imagine they invest in you and then you don't perform, guy, they will feel they've wasted their money. And the next time an opportunity like that comes, they won't give it to you. Thanks, Linda. Over to Maxine.
Interesting. Miss Maxine, would you want to add on? Okay, if Miss Maxine is not on the line, let's hear from Miss Zila. Miss Zila, would you want to add on to that? Hello? All right. So if I'm not getting through them, then we may continue.
Linda, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So I've been speaking for a while now. So is Miss Maxine on the line? Please, we wanted to hear your add-on. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, you can be
Yes,
heard.
Linda, we can hear you.
Okay, what of Miss Zila? Is Zila on the line? We wanted to have your add-on to the experience of accountability. All right. If we can't get through to them, then I would want to say a big thank you to our panelists for their insightful submissions so far. I am sure you have taken a lesson or two with you. I have a whole page of writing to share with you. And so at this point, I want to engage our audience on the platform. As I have been saying intermittently, this webinar is powered by WorldLink HR, and we'd love for you to give us a follow on our social media handles. Do share our link with your colleagues, with your friends, so they can join. Thank you so much. And so the floor is open for questions. You can leave your question in the chat where I can read it, or you raise your hand and we give you the opportunity to ask your question. I'm seeing a lot of people here. I can see Samuel Kate, Reggie Manuel, on. I can see Nana Kwame Poku Kakari. I can see Fola. Please, you can ask your questions. Thank you. Hello, Samuel. Please, I think our chat has been restricted. Please, can you make it open so we can have some questions from our audience?
It's open now, so they can unmute.
Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a hand up. McAfee and Nana Kwame Poku Kakari. Mr. Samuel, can you help me as the So McAfee, you can ask your question. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. So please, I have a question. First of all, I'm grateful for this. So when I saw the topic, I was very interested why a particular generation is unique and why things have to be different for them. So I've been following keenly. I joined just I think 10 minutes into the meeting. And then I think one of the things that I kept hearing was about the kind of like Gen Z sort in the workplace and all that. And I want to understand. I really want a practical example. So like in a workplace, how would in a workplace where there are millennials and there are Gen Zs, how are these two people going to react or respond to the work environment, or how are things different? I want to understand because I'm not sure. So I had whilst it was going, I went to Meta quickly to check, and millennials also seek for flexibility. So I really want a clear distinct. Yes. Yeah. Why the difference? Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, please.
Please, I want our panelists to take on the question and then give us an answer. Mr. James Kujo, would you help us?
Okay, said why the difference? Because millennials also seek flexibility. Yes, you see, Gen Zs are unique in a sense that if you check even our current setting, these are people who matured in the working class when COVID came. So when we had COVID, these people actually graduated one way or the other from the uni and they are ready for work. And here lies the case, they are being faced with COVID. So companies are forced to let's say, make them work from home. So they've developed this character themselves. And also check, these are people also who are versed online, most of the time online. They have a certain unique character. That's why I think the psychologists or whoever classify them, because they have unique character among them. And this unique character actually affects the workplace a lot. Maybe the rates. We are talking about this because of the rates at which these Gen Zs are coming up. Now, millennials are gradually fading out. They will be occupying the very senior most position, and Gen Zs are going to occupy perhaps the operational level management position. So there is the need that company understand the characteristics of these guys, because they have certain unique traits. These people are on TikTok, always they are on Facebook, just as you checked. Yes, you've done a quick search. You are on Facebook a bit. You've checked whatever we are discussing, cross-check it's online to see say now these guys. So they are on Facebook, TikTok, and all that. They have information here and there. These are not we can't equate this kind of character to the millennials. The millennials were born before a bit computer, so they are used to the traditional way of doing things. If you've worked in a typical organization which is well versed with millennials, you see that the paperwork is so much. And this is the environment that you get bored. Perhaps the organization you are working for, they are more unique and they are more Gen Zs in that organization, so things will be easy. But in an organization where the millennials and the baby boomers are more, you see that the paperwork and the traditional way of doing things is more. And that's where when a Gen Z come in, the person feels bored and doesn't want to work in that organization setting again. So there is a crucial need that we discuss this topic and understand the values and the characteristics of these guys, and organization should adjust to this behavior, because we need Gen Zs regardless. You need them because people are fading out. A generation is fading out, and this generation are going to take over this position. So we need to understand, for the longevity of a company, you need to understand the characteristics of these guys so that you align yourself to befit them. So there's a need. I don't know whether the question is answered. If my colleagues can add on, I'd be grateful.
Hello,
Thank
Miss
you, Linda.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that I really appreciate the response. And one word that I am holding on to is the rate. You mentioned the rate. So maybe because as you gave the COVID example, which I really appreciate. So I'm seeing over here that is it that the millennial, so I'm a millennial by the way. Is it like the millennials are refusing to adapt, or they are not adapting quickly as it's inborn or innate for the Gen Z? That's how I'm seeing the rate is coming off to me, that okay, the Gen Zs were born into it, and so it's innate, whereas a millennial have to learn it, and it could be that some will learn and some wouldn't learn and will be slow, because let's say the technology and the social media and everything, if you're a millennial and you are in it, it is coming to meet you, the things are changing, you are in it, you have to adapt. So yes, please, I appreciate the bill, but I'm taking the takeaway for me here is the Gen Z, for them is innate because they were born into it, and for a millennial you have to probably adapt, but you may or may not adapt. Please, am I right?
Yeah, thank you so much for breaking it down for all of us. Thank you for the question as well, and thank you, James, for answering. Let's hear from Nana Kwame Poku Kakari.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening. First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to the organizers for organizing such a wonderful topic to be discussed. And my question may drift a bit away from the topic, but mine has to do with the rising trend of AI being really improved, and then having a workforce where it's leading to where it's going to be dominant with Gen Z. My question has to be with, is it that um, employers seek that people still work with still the archaic system, or they are more interested in productivity, whereby if such a person uses AI to improve on their skill, would it be accepted, or the procedure in which the person used won't be accepted because it's not in line with how the past or the other generation used to do? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I believe Miss Maxine and Miss Zila would help us answer this question.
Yes, let me take a stab at it. Okay, so with the AI, you can say for some industries, the leaders do not really understand what it is, and then for the information that they have, I mean, they don't hear the good things about AI, so they are very skeptical. I'll just say that for one. It also happens that they would prefer that work that is done is not used, it has not gone through AI. They would prefer that you use your own ideas and then be your own creative self. That is very restrictive to some other generations. Some other generations would prefer that they use AI because it's very easier to get things done, and then it's faster. But then what we've seen is that there are some industries where they've evolved. They've come to a middle ground. There's a middle ground where the older generation is saying, okay, you can use AI, but then do not put any personal information in there. They may not understand the whole concept, but then they've come to agree with the younger generation that okay, maybe it's a good tool, but then don't put your whole information in there. Let's say you are servicing a client, you don't put the client's name and everything, because it is believed these things are self-developing. And so when you put client information in there, there's a possibility of this going way out of hand. And so you can use your AI in some instances, but then you limit the way you use it. And I think it's a good middle ground for both generations. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you so much. Ms. Zila, would you want to add on to her response? And then we'll hear from Kakari if his question has actually been answered.
Oh, for me, I believe that AI is misunderstood. Okay, we are evolving, and in as much as every concept, it has its benefits and it has its downfalls as well. It is actually reshaping the workplace. Okay, and it is something that is fostering a more efficient and knowledge-based workforce. But I believe that it also raises questions about job displacement, ethical considerations, and the need for continual learning in most cases to remain competitive. So it is something that I believe in years to come, we cannot really do away with it. You can't be a laggard when it comes to, say, the rise of AI and technology. In fact, if you are really someone that is interested in it, you get to know that it is actually something organizations should look out for in years to come, because today it is enhancing customer support, it is giving personalized experiences with AI, you can tailor product recommendations and say customize user interactions. It has predictive capabilities. It sometimes identifies trends in data. It enables proactive measures like sometimes predictions and equipping failures. And it usually reduces downtime and cost. In education, students are using AI now, right? And I always say that it is not something I frown, when I see that, but do not let it do the thinking for you. Do not let it always, take over your thinking. Do you understand that? It is in such a way that these are systems, okay? They can inherit biases in their training data, which may sometimes lead to discriminatory outcomes. That's what I believe the negative part. Do you get it? Ethical considerations and then privacy concerns. So there should be a balance. You can understand that it is not something that you should turn a blind eye to, but it's something that you should also you should also be say um you should also be ethical when using it, like Maxine mentioned. So these things are things that we should look out for. AI is not going anywhere. So as high time, I believe organizations take a critical look at it and see how best they can use it to enhance activities in the organizations. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Kakari, please, has your question been answered?
Hello, Linda.
Yes.
Thanks to the panel for answering my question, and it's been answered like very, very well. And one thing I want to add in addition is that AI is similar to how computers were introduced, where we moved from the pricer system to using the computer system. The world is very competitive, and at a point in time, even if you don't adapt to the current situation, there's going to be years in time that you have to adapt. And at the end of the day, it's down to moderation. Similar to the computer I'm using as an example, the computers are there, but it depends on the user and then what it's used for. So I really appreciate the insights that were given. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For me, what was profound as we've dived to this technical AI bit was the fact that don't allow AI to take over your thinking. Have a mind of your own. And Miss Maxine also mentioned something interesting of millennials not wanting you to feed AI with all the details. Yes, because they are now developing. And thank you, Kakari, for also adding on so we can have an idea of how to infuse AI into our work. Thank you all so much. Miss Blessing is also on the line with a question. Please let us hear from you.
Hello, Linda. Please, I would like to firstly acknowledge how Miss Lois, how she spoke about her organization. It really gave someone like me who is now entering the workforce some kind of hope that there are actually organizations that value their employees. And Mr. James, you literally read my mind. The organization that I'm currently having my national service at is filled with baby boomers and few millennials. And you could literally see that the chunk of our work is literally done through paperwork. And my dad has actually worked for the company for 25 years now. And as a result of that, I've interned there before I started my national service. And with the little experience that I have noticed that the organization is really not somewhere I would love to stick and stay for a long time, just because of how archaic they run their business. In as much as is one of the top organizations in Ghana, it still feels like a place that I don't really click with. That would lead to my question. Would you say it is wise to exit an organization or leave an organization if they don't provide any kind of, should I say, developmental program, some kind of training that would advance your career, or some kind of training that gives you a clear idea of where you would like to see yourself in the future? Again, with a little experience that I have with the same company, I've noticed that you get to advance, or you get to be promoted based on how long you've been there. And in as much as employees day in day out are trying to advance themselves in terms of getting their master's degrees and other degrees and so on, the major chunk of how they are being promoted is basically through being in the organization for a longer time. So back to my question, would you say it is wise to exit an organization if and such an organization if they don't provide any kind of training that helps you with your career path in the future? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Phew, that's a tough one. And I believe Miss Lois can help us bear the burden. Miss Lois, please take the.
All right, Linda, thanks. So, listen, thanks. Definitely, I'm very proud of my organization, and it's something I wish every organization would have, right? So, to your question, personally, one thing one of my career mentors had mentioned to me is be very selfish about your career. Don't take on any role that you think you'll not be happy doing. You know, I had mentioned that we tend to do some rotations sometimes to give you a broader perspective about what you do. So don't take up any role and let them know what you want to do, right? So, for example, maybe they're like, Lois, do you want to do this role? You then take a step back and ask yourself, will I be happy in this role? If you are not going to be happy, don't take it. And I've held on to that advice for long. I've rejected some rules, and I think they were the best decisions I ever took. So for me, in your situation, I would say, whilst you are working and you are not happy, please, we need the money. So whilst you're there, look out for companies that you feel their working culture aligns with what you want to do. Don't just go out there personally, especially if it's not a toxic culture, it's more around the way they operate is archaic and all these things. Nobody's bullying you, nobody's harassing you. I would say look for opportunities whilst you are still working. And when you get the opportunity, then you can exit. I will tell you for a fact, I've had people who always will tell me, Lois, I think I'm no longer getting what I want to get in this organization. Hence, I'm looking for others to move. And I totally agree with them. Whenever, that's why I spoke about purpose. If you feel your purpose is not being achieved in that particular organization, you might be doing the work, but all of a sudden you realize you're actually getting depressed and you're no longer even being productive. You no more want to even go to work. So whilst you feel you are no longer getting what you need to get from that organization, look for organizations and don't just jump into any organization without doing your research about that company. Read about what people write about the company. Look at the culture, because work culture, I don't think you want to move from frying pan to fire, right? So imagine I'm going from where you're talking about currently and I'm going to another organization thinking things might be better. It might not always work out that way. So I agree with you. When you feel you're no longer serving your purpose, you can resign and move, but have something you're moving to. Don't just sit at home and saying, because I'm a Gen Z, I'm going to now maybe go and do content creating. There is money in it though, but what if you don't make it? So just be smart about how you do things. That's what I'll leave with you, person.
Okay. Linda, I want to add a very short one to it. And please, you can also bring change to the organization before you exit. Try and tick all the boxes. First, we'll go to I don't know the kind of organization that you are, whether it's in the private sector or the government sector. For the government sector, I know you have a very long way to go because you need to come from the top, perhaps from the president and all that, enact certain laws before this change can be brought. But for the private sector, they can easily adapt. Go to your direct manager. Oh, manager, I think when you do it A, B, and C, it will be faster and you achieve the goal very fast than we going through C and D. Just try and bring the change. Now, if you see that the environment is not really adapted to that change, that's where you can at least withdraw. But try and also bring the change to the organization. Perhaps your presence there, your role is to try and bring change in the organization. This is how we are doing things. Now, you don't need to go and sit down and draft letter with the help of AI. you can do it. And you see your people going back, searching into the files, some files which were far back in 2006. You'll be searching through the file just to copy a certain letter. No, we have so many files occupying space in the room. People don't even get space to sit. Meanwhile, you can just store this thing on Google Drive or something. They don't know. Just try and bring this change to the organization. And if you are trying and you see that, I mean, these people, they are not really submissive or they don't want to adapt to the change, that's where you can advise yourself. But first of all, try with the change. Thank you very much, Linda.
Linda, you're on mute.
Thank you for your response to her question. What I picked was that it's a competitive, it's competitive out there. So before you get out, make sure you have something you are holding on to and be the change you seek. And if it doesn't work, then you can be selfish about your own career and move on. Miss Blessing, I hope your question has been well answered.
Yes, please, it has. And Mr. James was saying something about how he was asking if the organization was a public is in the public sector or in the private sector. It's actually in the public sector. And just like he said, again, it's so difficult to enact change because everything comes from the top downwards. And back to the fast thing, like I literally experience this every single day. They come around and we have to look for some letters, we have to look through our notebook and go back. And sometimes if you want to the files thing, the files of the employees, just this Friday they had to change. It was some kind of cabinet, they had to change it because it was old. That's how many files we have at the organization. Literally all the districts, I'm at the regional office, so all the districts, we have all their files there. And to add up to what Mr. James said again, it's just difficult in general. I remember my supervisor, she went on a 1 day leave. So I was there by myself and I was actually happy because it gave me a little opportunity to show the manager what I bring to the table. And I remember when I went to him, there was a certain memo that she was supposed to type the day before. So I typed it the next day and I gave it to him, sorry. And when I gave it to him, he was a bit surprised. I was able to type like a 4 sentence memo. And mind you, these memos are already drafted. So you literally just have to make some editing changes, put the person's name, the heading, the date, and that's literally it. But I was surprised that he was surprised that I was able to do that, considering for our first degree, if you opt to write a long essay, you literally write like a 70-page full-on essay by yourself. So I was expecting that he would know that at least I could type a little memo. But it adds up to the fact that whatever they do is so archaic to the extent that it's even difficult for you to get the opportunity to express your talent or the little that you have. But I'm going to try. I'm not going to just exit. I'm going to try to see the little change that I could bring to the table.
Thank you. Thank you. As someone who work in the public service, I can relate to what you are saying. And maybe another session will give us the opportunity to dive into that and see what best we can do to handle it. Yeah. And so I have a question in the chat from Emmanuel. Emmanuel says, can employers explain what qualities and characteristics they are looking for to integrate Gen Zs into the workforce? And with this, I want Miss Maxine to help us answer.
I'm not an HR person, so I'll try as best as possible to answer this question. I believe employers usually look for people who are assertive out there, making a change. Well, in my corporation, they always keep an eye out for someone who is making an impact, because that is basically our motto. You have to make an impact that matters. So an impact anywhere doing anything, they are impressed by that. That is what I think that corporations are looking at. Aside your experience, your qualifications, they would also want someone who is outgoing, who brings something to the table. Um, I think that is my contribution to that.
Thank you so much, Maxine. Among my audience are people of expertise. I have Mr. Reggie Manuel, who is the brain behind this webinar, together with his team members. And then we also have Madam Yvonne. Madam Yvonne, if you are here, we want you to help us answer this question. And so please help us, Madam Yvonne.
Hi, I'm right here.
Thank you.
It's a great opportunity. Can you repeat the question? Let me hear what.
The question is, what are the characteristics and qualities employers are looking out for?
Looking out for.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a business that has been established with a purpose to, let's give, for example, a profit-making entity that sells beverages. Okay, you need people who get the beverage to sell. Yes, a few of them will be the ones out there selling, but some will do things behind the scenes to ensure the selling is done. So you first and foremost, you need people who will do the work. This is where the knowledge of whatever area you've been employed for comes. This is where the right attitude also counts. Employers are looking for people who hit the ground running. This does not mean you should have 10 years experience or 20 years experience, no. But you should be somebody who is willing to learn and apply what you have learned. Gen Zs have a lot of knowledge. Their main challenge is the application. They are blessed with being technologically savvy, but they don't bring it to work. Give Gen Z the alcoholic beverage to put on social media. They will do fantastic things for you. But ask them to collate data on how many viewers, and the viewers who are men, who are women, and then there's trouble. So you want rounded people who drive the business. Okay. And these days we talk about communication skills because you speak with people, you send emails, you write reports. We talk about emotional intelligence because you are with people. They will do things to make you happy or sad. How do you handle your emotions? We are talking about I've mentioned emotional intelligence communication. We are talking about leadership, where you take initiative. You don't only wait for your manager to say go left or go right, but you have a plan given to you at the beginning of the year. You understand what is required of you, and you hit the ground running. You learn new things on your own and apply them to work. Okay. And then it's a lot, but I'll just hammer on four. So the fourth one is helping your manager to succeed. You hear Gen Zs and some young people say, I know more than my manager. I can do the work better than him. Yes, you can, but he is in charge. So how do you help him to shine so that he can also shine for you? Okay, so these are the things employers are looking out for. And so when you attend interviews, we are looking at how well are you communicating? How are you managing your emotions? Are you proactive? Do you take initiative? Do you complain and give excuses, or you get things done as a leader? Are you coming to help me shine as your manager, or you are coming to rubbish what I am doing? These are some of the things we look out for. And I'll bundle all up and say that we are looking for professionals. That's what we are looking for, professionals. And this is another broader topic. Maybe some other time, Reggie and his team will organize something on professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Yvonne. This one was on the spot and you delivered so well. And I like all the points you gave out, that you are looking for professionals, people who can take initiative, people who are not coming to rubbish the work of their bosses, yeah, but are coming to help them also to shine and are willing to take initiative. Mr. Emmanuel, I hope your question has been answered so well and you've taken notes of all the points she mentioned.
Please, yeah, I've taken notice of all the points, and thank you for the organizers and then the panelists. The reason why I asked that question is that Gen Zs have a total idea of how work is, and we have noticed that Gen Z normally when they report to work, they close early and head home. Sometimes too, they have a total idea of handling work. So it's important that employers know how to correlate Gen Zs or integrate them into their workforce. And also, some of them too are so tech savvy that this AI, they are highly using it in the workspace. So, as an HR person, it's like you have to balance that alongside with them. So, I thank all of you for helping us understand how the whole thing works. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And sorry for addressing you as Mr. Emmanuel. Maybe next time I have to take notice of the voice as well. All right, so Mr. Reggie Manuel, please, would you want to add on for us as we get ready to round up our session? Hello, Reggie Manuel. Okay, I think I've lost him. Then we'll continue. Please, are there any add-on questions? I'm in the chats. If you have a question. All right. I think I have another question here. Okay, so let's see. Good evening, all. The conversation has been about what organizations can do to retain Gen Z. What about Gen Z? What is expected of them in their line of duties to meet the objectives and mandates of their organization? Okay, I think Miss Yvonne has touched on this, but let's hear from Lois. Lois, please, would you help us answer the question of JJ?
All right, Linda, I would give it a go. As Maxine mentioned, I'm not also an HR person, but I think one of the things which is expected of Gen Zs, as Miss Yvonne had mentioned earlier on, was bring that your tech savvy skills to the workplace. Because some people are so good, but when you give them a laptop, they're a little bit confused. They really don't know how to put themselves together. They know the results they need to produce, right? But how do they bring it together and organize themselves to bring it to produce a result? They tend to have issues on that. So professionalism. You see some people at the workplace playing loud music. Guys, yeah, in a professional settings. We know we are Gen Zs, we want to do whatever we want to do. But you need to know where you are and how to behave. Sometimes you might see as a Gen Z, you might work in an organization where they're like dress semi-casual, right? Or semi-official. And you see some people wearing crop tops and stuff coming to the organizations. I think those you need to understand your organization is giving you the freedom, but you need to also know what you need to do. You have to be professional. There are some things we need to learn from the millennials or the baby boomers and also bring some of those things into our workspace. As Gen Zs, I think Zilla had mentioned we're around the 97 upwards. We are now the young workforce in the organizations. There are some things you still need to learn from these elderly guys. Yes, we want to be flexible, we want to have our work-life balance. But as a Gen Z, you need to abide by some of the rules or job descriptions you've been given. They are asked to maybe report at 8. I say, me as Gen Z, I want to do whatever I want to do. I report at 10. I'm sorry, but the organization will no longer, this is not about you even leaving, but the organization will not even retain you because you need to bring professionalism in everything you do. When you're given a tax, if you know you are not able to work within it, there are clear time, maybe you've been given a clear timeline, you have to communicate. You can't just assume I'm going to do whatever I want to do at my own time. Moreover, I don't send anybody. No, we have a responsibility to communicate and maybe seek for help. So in summary, all I'm saying is you have to be professional. If you need help, ask for help. And don't just bring a nonchalant attitude to work. You have to deliver because you are being paid to do that. I hope I was able to help answer your question a bit, JJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. I think you've over-answered the question, and we want to thank you again. Mr. Samuel, please, could you help me? Reggie Manuel wants to share his views with us, but he's unable to.
Hello, Linda.
Hello, Reggie Manuel. I can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to Yvonne for touching on the question. I believe she has said everything, but I would like to add something small to it. One thing that Gen Zs need to know is that every organization have their mission and vision, and there is actually a conceptual framework that guides the organization. In as much as you have, your youthful exuberance, you have the energy, your tech savviness and all, you will need to ensure that whatever you are doing is in line with the organization. So I would like to urge the Gen Zs that, you can speak up. Other organizations have different communication channel. You can write to HR, their staff devs, staff classes, whereby you are being given opportunity to speak. One thing that I know is that whenever you have an idea as a Gen Z in an organization, you can discuss with your line manager. If your line manager is not really giving you the feedback that you want, you can take it up there in systematic order. Yes, but Gen Zs have a sense of entitlement, and they would have to look at it. And irrespective of whatever you are bringing on board, you should know that this generation is Gen Z generation is not a new gen. It's not the only generation existing, and in as much as they do their things, they also need to ensure that there's equality. They have to give, respect to the generation X and the rest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reggie Manuel, for adding on that. I think we'll take our last question at this point from Isaac Agbeto.
Hi,
Hello,
Linda.
Isaac. Yeah.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Isaac. I
Thank
can
you.
hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity. My question will be a bit different from the main topic, but it's almost the same. I'll talk from the perspective of an employer. And during the presentation, what I realized and what I've learned is most of the Gen Zs are people who want quick results. But what about if, let's say, you are an employer and then you own a startup, and you all know that startups takes time to get there to the A company. But you have Gen Z employee that you have a lot of tasks that as you are working in a startup, you need to at least do everything. You should be able to do everything, and then in the company, and then the Gen Z employee feel like you are overtaxing him. So as an employer, how can you manage this situation to be able to meet also your need and as well meet the needs of that Gen Z employee? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I believe Mr. Kujo touched on communication and transparency, and Ms. Lois also outlined some strategies companies can take. So I want them to reiterate their points, and then I believe that could answer your question. So Mr. Kujo and Lois, please, you take this.
Okay. Thank you very much, Isaac. You see, human beings by nature, to some extent, are not really, really loyal. They need to have a sense of purpose before they can be glued to you. This is a personal observation though. Before they can be glued to you. And you need to also be so open to the Gen Z you are working with. That's, guy, we are at this phase of the growth of the company, and this is the vision, and this is the strategies I, as an employee, have put in place to accomplish this vision. This vision, sorry. No company starts with that boom. They start very little and they grow up. You can bring out the strategies, and if they buy into that vision, if they buy into that purpose, they will stay. It's about you being transparent to them. Now, if you hide things and you are suffering alone, and they are also not happy in the company, you are doing harm to your own self. It is better for you to get like 3 people who are loyal and share in your vision than to get like 20 who are not loyal. You go down the drain. So it's about you being transparent with them and having a deep conversation with them so that you all come to a consensus. You come to a point that you think we are okay, we can go. Because human beings, in our part of the world, loyalty is some way, because they can easily be led with money, then they'll go. But once they believe in your vision and the growth of your company, they will stay regardless. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Miss
Okay, so I'll
Lois?
just reiterate what I had called out earlier on. I believe in having communication, open communication, which Kujo also hammered on. So if your organization, and to be specific, a startup, I'm sure you don't have a lot of employees. So be very clear on what having an open communication to build trust, which Kujo reiterated. You need to make the person buy into what you're also doing. Because truthfully, if someone is working for, let's say, 2 years and they're not seeing the quick results they're looking for, they might decide to say, okay, at this point, I'm tired. You can go ahead with your archaic ways of doing things. But if there is this trust, the person buys into it and say, okay, it might not be now, but maybe it will pick up in about 5 years, and the person buys into it. The person picks that as a purpose which the person is working with. Believe me, this person will bring his best self to work every day and will also want to help you achieve that, because in 5 years time, looking at the way things are going, we are going to get there. So it might not be the usual slow. Maybe I don't want to work in a slow paced environment, but because I've bought into your vision, I trust what you're saying. I believe I would be able to stay back. So having a clear communication with such people and also gaining their trust, I think would help you retain your employees, Isaac. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Agbeto. I hope your question has been well answered.
Well answered, thanks.
Thank you again. And as we get ready to round up, I want you all to follow our social media pages, WorldLink HR, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media platforms. And please do share with your colleagues, with your friends, because there are more, webinars coming up and you don't want to miss. So you just have to follow so you can get direct updates on what's to come. And so, as we bring this webinar to a close, I want us to do something unique. Yes, I want you to visit any of our social media pages. I think for this purpose, let's use LinkedIn, and then you are going to leave, one takeaway from this webinar in the comment section. So whatever you learned from here about Gen Zs, you can visit our LinkedIn page and then you leave your comments there. So your key takeaway from this webinar, I'll be monitoring to see those who put theirs there. So let's all do that. And I have a few recap just so you have forgotten how we started and where we have come. I want to let you know that Gen Zs are people who value flexibility in the workspace. They value organizations that bring in mentoring, supports, and they also value organizations that given professional development opportunities. They are also looking for companies that have this open communication policy, and most importantly, mental health organizations that tend to their mental health. In as much as we all seek for that flexibility, we also have to know that not you can work from home and still have the work done, but not all work can be fully done from home. And that is usually from the regulated industries. Not all work can be fully done from home. And so there's a need for the hybrid system. And now, for strategies companies and employers can adopt to actually inculcate Gen Zs into their work environment is to introduce online trainings for them and to let them have a sense and a feeling of purpose for whatever work they are doing, to also put systems in place for open communication and transparency so that they can find the balance. We also want Gen Zs with the open communication and transparency that is being put in place. Employers are also expecting Gen Zs not only to be assertive, but to also be courteous in their submissions. And another strategy companies can also adopt is diversity and inclusion. And what Gen Zs are saying is that jobs can tend to be very boring. And so there's a need for job rotations so that they can cut down on their boredom and also build their expertise to be well and all rounded employees. Yeah, they want to feel included in whatever is being done. Now, the employer on this webinar may be asking, after all these investments, how do I ensure you are being accountable? And this is what our panelists had to say, that you can put in place a bonding system or a contract where after you invest, you are expecting a certain loyalty from them, which you can define being a number of years with them or maybe a payback if they decide to leave your organization. And what we also learned was that if mentorship is actually being put in place, what it does is that it also gives employees the sense to also give back to the organization. And with all the right opportunities, they are going to feel the need to give back to you by staying longer in your organization and giving of their best. And I'll end by adding that as a Gen Z here, wherever you find yourself, be selfish about your career and be the change you wish to see. And also look out to be and find ways and avenues to be a professional in the field you have chosen. And that will make you, a bit or the star among Gen Zs where all other employers will be looking out for you. And so those are my takeaways from this, and I hope you have a lot of them. So I'll be waiting to see your comments and key takeaways on our social media handles. As we end, I want to say thank you to my panelists for sharing their wisdom and to all of you for your active participation. Let's continue to learn and support each other. Now, if you have forgotten the panelists we had here, we have Lois Ifia Amponsa. She works with Unilever. We have James Nelson Kujo, who works with Icon Energy. We have Maxine Seshi, also with Deloitte, and Zilla Boydo, a lecturer with UPSA. I am also Linda Williamson Ishen, and I was your moderator for today. So thank you all. I want the brain behind this webinar to give us our last words, and then we say bye-bye. Hello, Reggie.
Hello, Linda. I would like to say thank you so much for each and everyone joining this webinar, and a special thank you to the panelists, and also shout out to Yvonne. Yvonne is my career coach, my mentor. And I would like to say thank you for her being always there for me. Also, I would like to encourage each and everyone to follow WorldLink HR on social media platforms, Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. There are many webinars coming on, and I would want you all to stay tuned to it. This webinar is recorded, so we are going to share it on our social media platform. I believe some of you joined late, and it will be a great opportunity to sit down, relax later in the day, later in the night to listen to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And so that will be the end of this webinar. Good night to all of you, and thank you once again for joining.
Good night, too. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.